My name is Miles Bauer. I just started my sophomore year of college. I'm an avid weightlifter, a gym bro at heart, um, and I make YouTube videos on how to become a stronger person mentally and physically. Mentally first, because I teach you the mindset that's required to grow. Physically second, because bodybuilding is my passion, and I want to teach everyone how to become stronger in the gym. Um, that's who I am. That's the bulk of everything. Um, that is the video before I get deep into anything. But I feel like I haven't sat down and had an honest introduction of who I really am. You might have seen this channel and come across it just now, way in the past, somewhere along the journey, but you might not know exactly who I am. So I feel like now more than ever is a good time to break things down, a good time to kind of see what makes me me and why are you here? Why am I here? What is going on with the gym? Ever since I was younger, I have been fascinated with the idea of story. It doesn't matter if it was a story book, it doesn't matter if it was someone talking about something, it doesn't matter if it was in a song, it doesn't matter if it was in a TV show, it doesn't matter if it was in a video game, it doesn't matter what form of anything. I love a great story. And the idea of story has captivated me along my entire journey of who I am. When I was younger, I was fascinated with books and reading, and my mom really pushed the idea of reading because she saw how much it helped me. So by the time I was in kindergarten, I could already read like full sentences. I could read little notes that my dad wrote for me, and I could read everything everywhere I saw. In preschool, I was able to start reading words, which wasn't typical, but it was who I am because story just captivated me that much that I didn't feel like I was learning. I felt like I was just consuming. Everything that came into my hands, like I learned it all because it was integral to like my understanding of the world. It was building my own story. And that was kind of my first introduction into passion. Passion is what I followed, and passion is what has carried me to this point right now. Next, it wasn't just about books anymore. As I got older, I got bogged down by the idea of like school sucks. Once you reach that elementary age, that kind of gets drilled into you by friends and stuff that school is the worst, and outside of school is where you can really thrive. And what I took to that my dad introduced me to was video games. Video games were this amazing, like monstrous thing that consumed everything. It was visual, it was audio, it was, text interlaced in between everything. And I had an insatiable appetite. My brother and I destroyed all these video games with just like so much hunger and passion. But mine necessarily wasn't about the game. It was about whatever story the game told. It was about the saving the princess of the Mario. It was about the, like different journey of Zelda. It was about, you know, kicking down the evil what's the evil guy from Crash Bandicoot? I forget his name, but it was like journeying across time to go find him. It was playing SSX Tricky and trying to make your way all the way down the mountain, this giant, you know, slope that you tried to get past all these obstacles and stuff to finally reach the goal. Reaching the goal, having the end game, seeing the story unfold, that is what captivated me about video games and still does. That's a passion I've held on to now. And that's kind of what kept leading me on these journeys. When I was in middle school, I found so much intense love in animation. And animation became the thing that I wanted to do. Now, I'm colorblind, so I can't color and create pictures out of nothingness as well as other people can. But I loved drawing, and I loved creating the story of drawing and creating characters and stuff. And so character animation, building story through animation, became this love for me. And I tried really, really hard. I tried for like 3 to 4 years to try and make stuff with animation work, and I still own books and I still have knowledge of how animation works, but it didn't become the true passion that set me on my goal because I had barriers. And I realized I couldn't excel at this in the way that I wanted. I couldn't be the number one of like pushing past this in the way that I desired if I kept going down this path. So again, I pivoted. I took the lessons of this story that I was crafting and I looked for the next story. What was the more entrancing story? And at the start of high school, I got insanely into YouTube, into videos, into editing, into the concept of constructing story from essentially nothing like animation was, but it wasn't crafting and drawing and creating it on your own. It was the idea of like taking a video and doing all those things that captivated me about video games, the story, the music, the moving pictures and stuff, and it was putting that into action. And that is what became my passion, was videos and stuff. But I didn't know what type of videos to make. I had all these side passions. I loved playing soccer. I had played soccer during all this time. I had intense love for family and friends and stuff. I loved all these little adventures I had outside of school and outside in my life and stuff. But that didn't necessarily click. And originally, I just made videos about gaming because that was what YouTube always was. You know, Minecraft videos, all these different things that I watched. That was, I just did what I saw. And there was no story, there was no craft to it because I didn't understand that yet. I was too young. And from like late middle school all the way into mid high school, that is what kind of defined this new passion. Was I knew I was great at this. I knew that I could excel at it and I kept learning and growing, but I didn't know where to put this energy of video creation into until I sat down and deeply thought about it. And I wrote down what I was good at, what would help the world, what could make me financially stable, and what there was a fourth part to that. But I defined, and you can go back and watch this video on my channel, I defined what my ikigai was, the concept of a purpose, the concept of what I could bring to this world. And where that led me was my experiences with the gym, with bodybuilding, with growing myself. And it stemmed from soccer, like I said, another outside interest. It stemmed from a journey of improving myself. But I realized this entire time, my entire life, what it built up to was me growing myself, was me realizing my potential and pushing forward and forward and forward and trying to grow and grow and grow. And the gym was the staple of that. When I found the gym, it was like it clicked. I took off. I set foot in it and I took off, and it was fun and it was everything. And I've never once backed down from the gym because it means everything and is still just as enthralling as day one. And so once I realized this, once I sat down and tallied up my life, I realized my passion had to reside in the things I had learned and in the things I knew I was good at and in the things that I could provide. All this different stuff, all this different, you know, cultures clashing into me becoming the person I am today. And in summer of 2024, I decided to make a YouTube channel documenting my bodybuilding progress. And that first video, not many people can say this, I'm still proud of my first video. Because my first video, I'm sitting there and I'm literally like talking about how scary it is. I'm talking about the initial looks I get in the gym. I'm talking about where I want to go and why I'm starting this and why I feel like things are different. And the camera quality is not good, and it's sitting on my phone sideways because I didn't have anything to like prop it up in my car yet. It was weird. It was different, but that caused me to keep going. Day one, day two, continually pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing until I finally reached 1,000 subscribers, which had been like a pipe dream idea of how far I could take my YouTube channel. And I was like, this is insane. This is insane. And what capitalized through it all was not just the journey I took to get to that moment, but it was the story I built of who I was. It was the story of me wanting to do something and going out and accomplishing it. And I say this not, I'm hyping myself up a lot in this video, but I'm not trying to like pump ego into myself. I'm trying to explain to you that this is your story, and finding what's crucial to your interest is what's going to help propel you to success in life. It's what's going to help keep your mental clear. It's what's going to help keep your body primed, is doing those things that are just natural, that you're going to do no matter what because you love it. I've found my love in this, and I've found my love in continually pushing, and now I'm crafting a story through the gym by making little edited videos and explaining my story, explaining what it takes to push forward, explaining all these different things. And I'm getting closer and closer and closer and closer to these all ideal things, but I'm still writing my story every day. But I'm fascinated with this. I'm fascinated with the story. And that's why my second year of college, I'm revitalizing it again. I am keeping going, and I want to make more and more videos because this is just insane. This has just been an insane ride, and who I am is the person who's going to dive into the stories, the person who wants to keep writing the stories, keep crafting, and keep sharing, and keep uniting. And your story is part of my story, and that's what makes it, you know, it's not cringy to say that. It's so true. Like, if you watch and you comment and you are like a part of this, you're literally stitching a new story, a new web of who I am off of, why I originally created this channel. And so introducing myself is introducing that, like, yeah, I didn't have everything figured out, and I still don't. I had to pivot over and over and over. And by the end of these 4 years of college, I'll be ready for a real job. Or I might be keeping doing this. I might go even further into this, and it could go even further than I could even expect. I don't really know. But that story is what's going to keep me going. And whatever fuels my story is where I know I'm going next. Whatever's going to keep my body healthy and me looking great, feeling great, and exploring everything. That's where I'm heading next. I appreciate you watching, and I hope you continue to build your story today. And thank you for being just a small part of mine. Bye-bye.